I'm Jessica Rhodes, and I'm here to help you rock the podcast from both sides of the mic. In today's episode, I have an email question from a viewer, and she asks, wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing which technologies you use to manage your podcast, hosting, file storing, recording, and editing. I'm asking around and doing some research for a transition to a podcast format. I've been on an internet radio show platform, so definitely able to help with that. So pretty simple. So with managing my podcast, hosting and file storing, these are one and the same. Roads to Success is hosted on Libsyn, Libsyn, Libsyn.com. Stands for Liberated Syndication. That is where the podcast episodes are uploaded, and they create the RSS feed, which gets it out onto the different podcast platforms. So Libsyn is what I use for media hosting. I also want to mention that the podcast producers, we host on Podbean, one of our sponsors for season 3. So Podbean is another great option as well. And she also asks about recording. So it depends on what kind of episode I'm doing. So if I have a interview, I can honestly tell you I have been connecting with my guests on Zoom. And while I tried Skype has been horrible. We just aren't able to hear each other even though the audio settings are fine. So I'm really done with Skype. But I connect with my guests on Zoom and I ask them to record their audio separately. I don't advise everyone to do this, but I want my show to sound really good. So what I'll do is if a guest has a Mac, I'll say, please open up QuickTime and just record your audio and then send it to me in a Dropbox link. And then I do the same. My editors put that together, called a double ender. It just sounds a lot better than the Zoom recording. I always run the Zoom recorder as a backup just in case something happens with either audio. There are also different ways to do it like TriCast or Zencastr, but connect with my guests on Zoom. I have them record their audio separately. I also record the Zoom call, so I've got a backup there. I use Shure microphones, so I use the Shure MV51 to record. It is a fantastic condenser microphone. It sits right on the desk, so I don't have to worry about being up in my face. I could just have it on the desk. I can, I tend to like wiggle a little bit, so I use the Shure MV51. I'm using this Shure lavalier microphone to record the audio for the video. There's lots of different microphones. That's the one I'm recommending to people right now. Shure is also a sponsor of season 3 of the podcast producers, I should mention. And then for editing, I don't edit my own show, so I work with Podfly. I send them the raw audio of what I've recorded, and they actually do all the editing, the post-production. They put the, the intro music and everything onto the podcast. They upload it to Libsyn and put it on my website and all that good stuff. And that's what I advise people, is to have an editor, and Podfly is who I use. So I hope that helps you. And if you're starting a podcast or moving over from internet radio to podcasting, those are my tips and what you should use. If you need guests for your podcast, please work with us at Interview Connections. InterviewConnections.com is where you can learn about getting booked on podcasts as a guest or finding guests for your show. I am Jessica Rhodes, here to help you rock the podcast from both sides of the mic.